Hey everyone, this is Witcher the Wizard with your Twin Flames, the Twin Within Energy Report for the week of Sunday, April 14th through Saturday, April 20th. Okay, I think I got that right. Yeah, and as always, I draw two cards, one for the feminine energy within us all, and one for the masculine energy within us all, and then I tie them together with an oracle card. Um, So let's get right into it. I pulled drawn the cards, um, and the first card for the feminine is the Eight of Swords. So the Eight of Swords in the position of the feminine energy. Well, so this is really interesting. Basically, the Eight of Swords is talking about a self-imposed prison of fear. And in the feminine energy, what it really is talking about is a lack of faith in our connection to spirit and in the abundance of in just sort of the infinite abundance of this world, of this existence, and more than just the world, right? It's really about the believing in what's beyond what we can just see. The idea that there is an infinity of abundance, more than what we can see with our eyes and experience with our physical senses, more than we can figure out in our minds of how are we going to get this? How is this going to happen? We've lost X, Y, or Z. How are we ever going to get that back? How are we ever going to make that up? And as I was looking at this card, that's what really came to me was a loss of faith. A lot of people say that this is a card of getting caught up in your mind and caught up in your fears. It is, but why? Like, why is that the case? Why, this person in this card, she is tied up with ribbons. Those aren't like thick leather straps. They're really thin ribbons. She could bust out of that at any time. She could pull that ribbon off of her eyes. She could pluck those swords out of the ground and walk out or push them over and walk out of this prison at any time. And since swords represent not just ideas, but really our perceptions, and this suit of swords is really about our perceptions and our awareness. It's not just ideas. Ideas are, everything is ideas, right? Cups representing emotion, that's ideas. Wands representing fire, inspiration, that's ideas. Everything is ideas. But the swords more accurately represent our perceptions and our awareness of things. And so, her being surrounded by these swords in this prison is really a prison of our perceptions and awareness. And more specifically, in the place of the feminine energy, it's a loss of faith in, and I say faith specifically, in trusting in what we cannot know. And that's what faith is. It's trusting in something that we cannot know. And we, for example, often, not always, but often, I think about my financial situation and my age, and I think, oh my God, how am I ever gonna be okay, after the age of retirement? And I really get caught up in that. And that creates a lot of fear. I mean, this really creates this situation right here. And then I have to remind myself that my line of thinking and my line of worries are only true given a very specific story or way of making money. And that's a very old story. It's you go to work every day for somebody else. You make a set amount of money. You have to put some of that aside, live very frugally, try to invest in it in something that will give you, hopefully 7-8% return on your investment over decades, to build that into something that will then last you for the last, 15 years of your life, right? Past the age that anybody in America wants to hire somebody. And honestly, people in America don't want to hire anybody over the age of like 45. That's how it's gotten these days. They really don't. Ageism is a huge issue, which is a really hard reality for a lot of everybody over a certain age. Over the age of 40, you start getting scared about losing your job and trying to get another one. But that's a very limited reality. It's a limited story on how people make money. There are so many people that do not make money that way anymore in the world. They don't go and work for a company. They don't get paid pennies on the dollar of their worth, and have to live very frugally and squirrel that money away and hope that they invest it in something that doesn't completely rip them off, as many investments do. That's not how people do it anymore, right? People are out there creating their own wealth, and sometimes creating just fantastic amounts of wealth. Not even sometimes, but often creating just fantastic amounts of wealth, seemingly overnight. I mean, it's never over, it's almost never overnight, but seemingly overnight, and certainly overnight compared to, if you think about that old story about having to go and work for a corporation for 40 years and hope that you have enough money saved up. There's just all these different ways in which abundance can come to us now, even more so now, because that we have like the magic of the internet. The magic of the internet is the magic of the availability of ideas and the connection to almost 8 billion people, the global, the global population. We are so much more connected now than we ever were, and we have available to us resources that were undreamt of 20 years ago. And so, seemingly overnight, the world has become a very different place, and our ability to create abundance has transformed amazingly, just incredibly. So much so that most of us just don't even understand it. We don't even realize it. There are people who they have YouTube channels where all they do is they sail into exotic locations and they film themselves, and they get donations from people who love watching them do this. And this is how they fund their lives, doing the things that they love to do, which is just sailing around the world or getting on a motorcycle and driving across God knows where. And they just videotape themselves and what they're doing, and that's how they earn their living, which is amazing. I love it. It's so awesome. It's magic. It literally is magic. It's magic. And so this Eight of Swords is the feminine energy in us losing faith in our connection to the abundance of the universe and the abundance of spirit and our connection to that abundance. And trusting that even though we don't know the way forward, that there is a way forward, and not just a way forward, lots of different ways forward. And all we have to do is have faith and stay focused on our goals and keep getting out there and putting action towards our goals. And knowing that it's just going to happen. That not only is it going to happen, but it can happen. And it's not even a kind of a maybe or a gamble or a fluke if it does. It's more likely than not to happen as long as we're not trapped in our own perceptions. And as long as we're not holding ourselves back because of our loss of faith in the connection to spirit and the connection to abundance. And that's really the job of our feminine energy. The job of our feminine energy is to have that rock solid connection to spirit and that faith in the abundance of the universe and in the plausibility of our heart's desires and the possibility of our heart's desires meeting our needs. Because when the feminine energy really has faith in what we really desire in life, and has faith that not only are those desires possible, but they're going to meet our needs. It's only then that the masculine energy can really step in and take action on those desires that we all have, in our hearts and our souls. And when the feminine really has faith in those desires and the faith that the universe is gonna respond to that and create with that and produce and provide abundance for that, that's really when the masculine energy can move forward and put into action what our feminine energy, that template of our feminine energy has there, and says, yep, let's go and do this. Let's make this happen. That's when the masculine steps in and says, yep, let's do it. We're going to, until the feminine really has faith in that, in our heart, our true heart's desire and our soul path, and has faith that by taking that path, that the universe will respond positively and will provide for us, and that even though we don't know the way, there is a way. Until that happens, the masculine can't move on it, can't do anything with it, and the masculine is just kind of it's a rudderless boat at that point. The engine's going, but it's just going around in circles, right? So that's where we are with the feminine energy. It's time to really have faith in ourselves and in our desires and our deepest desires, and in the things that we're constantly thinking about and the things that bring us joy, the things that maybe we're scared to admit because we don't think that the universe is going to support that, but it will. It will. And once we do that, once we shift that perception, once we start to have faith in that, then that's when the masculine can step in and start, working on abundance. And not in a, quick and flashy kind of way, but in a real Knight of Pentacles kind of way, which is slow, methodical. And why is the slow and methodical important? Well, because slow and methodical is having faith also that the universe is going to respond to what we're doing, and that and that there's no need to rush, that this isn't a flash in the pan opportunity that's here today and gone tomorrow. And that regardless of all the things that are occurring in our lives, Whatever circumstances may come and go, whatever opportunities may rise and fall, that there is always a way, that as long as you are pursuing your true heart's goal, your spiritual path, with steadfast dedication, that new opportunities will always arise. And so there's no need to rush. There's no need to worry or fret. You will always get there in exactly the right time that you're supposed to. And so with that faith, the masculine energy can really just focus on the task at hand. Slow and steady wins the race, and move forward. Okay? But the feminine energy has to have faith. Has to have faith in that desire, in the desire, and the feminine energy's desire. That's where desire comes from, is the feminine energy. The feminine energy is desire and passion. Right? The desire stokes the passion that moves the masculine forward. But only if the feminine really believes in herself. Really believes in that spiritual path, and that thing inside of us that brings us joy and excitement. And then the masculine energy can move that forward. Right? So that's where we're at for this week. It's about faith. It's about really believing in that thing inside of you that we all have, that we're more excited about than anything else in the world, but we're afraid of embracing because it's not okay, and the universe won't accept it and won't support it. But it is. It's what we're here for, and it's okay, and the universe will accept and support it as long as you do. As long as you do. As long as you have faith. And just have steadfast determination with that and putting it into action. It doesn't even matter how you do it. It's just that you do it. And as you put it into action, the way will show itself to you. So, all right, what is the Oracle card? I don't know. So I always leave this for the last, and it's really exciting. It is coming apart. It's interesting, as I was shuffling the deck, I saw this on the bottom of the deck and thought, gosh, I've never pulled this card before. Shuffled, and then suddenly it was like, oop, time to stop, pull this out, and here we go. It was on the top of the deck. Coming apart. Well, let's see what Miss Colette Baron-Reid has to say about that. Coming apart. It'll be interesting to see how this works with our current reading. All right, now's the time to take separate paths. Upright, the coming apart card is a sign to put an end to what is no longer working for you. Has a commitment been broken? Perhaps you need to break a promise or change course because you took on more than you could handle. This is a perfect time to reassess your goals and values. Are your actions in alignment with what you believe in? Have you created a partnership that is not mutually beneficial? Separation, dissolution, and dispersion are all in focus now. If someone wishes to break away from you, don't chase the relationship out of a sense of fear. The price you'll pay will not be worth the prize. Separation brings good fortune. Well, certainly, this is where it says this is a perfect time to reassess your goals and values. Are your actions in alignment with what you believe in? Yeah, so it's time to come apart with part ways with anywhere in our lives where we're not being true to who we really are, who we really want to be, what we really like and value, because we're afraid that it's not going to be accepted in the world, and that it's not going to be supported. Because it is. We were not put on this earth to have desires that are not going to be supported by the universe. The trick is to be afraid that it's not going to be supported and do it anyway. And that's faith. And when you have faith in yourself, when you really have faith in yourself and you take action upon that, that's when the magic happens. It's as simple as that. Magic is as simple as having faith in your internal desires and taking action upon them, even especially when you think the world is going to turn on you and say that's not okay. And so it's time to part way with those old ways of deciding what we're going to do, how we're going to act, how we're going to behave. That externalized view of that, and really be internally focused and determined. Internally determined versus externally determined. All the most successful people in the world are all internally determined. They determine their actions based on internal values, not external. You know, it's not like they want to go and pick fights with people or you know, break up their relationships, but they have faith in what's inside of them, and they have more faith in that than worry about what everyone around them is going to think. And so they move forward and they make the magic happen. And that's how it works. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Love to hear any of your comments, any of your feedback. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And have a great weekend. Have a great week. Be safe. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.